Hey guys, Sam Stein. Somehow survived day one, on to day two, although technically it's only been about 24 hours. I'm here with Adrian Carasquillo. He is the author of Huddle Masses. We just popped a new version of this quickly essential newsletter that we got here at the Bulwark. Before we get into it, subscribe to the feed. Just crossed 900,000 subscribers. You don't want to be one of those few Americans who is not a subscriber, so click the button. Adrian, want to talk about executive order specifically on the immigration front that Trump and his team have put out in the last 24 hours. We're going to go through a bunch of them, but let's start with the big one, birthright citizenship. They previewed this. They wanted to end the 14th Amendment's guarantee of birthright citizenship. They say it has been wrongly interpreted. But the executive order they put out is much farther reaching than that. Let's start there, and then we're going to go through some of the others. But tell me what the deal is with birthright citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about this on X. You can't turns out the executive cannot edit the Constitution, or this would have happened. This would have happened many times before. So this is going to be a huge legal challenge. And I think one of the things we wrote about is one of the ones where the challengers feel like they have a chance, despite this Trump-stacked Supreme Court, that you're going to be able to, fight back on the legal basis of this. And basically with this order, they're saying that children who are born to a mother who either was here unlawfully, undocumented, or was here legally but temporary, so a student visa, a work visa, a tourist visa, that these people are not eligible to have American citizenship. And they say U.S. citizenship is like a privilege and basically a gift from the American government. So that's going to be a huge fight. And I think that's the one that sort of crowded out everything yesterday, but there were 10 executive orders in general, and a lot of them focused on the border.
Well, we'll go to those others, but for the birthright citizenship one, look, it's been well over 100 years more understood that if you were born in America, even if you were born to people who were not here legally, you're a citizen. And obviously that has rubbed some conservatives, though not all conservatives, but some conservatives the wrong way. And there have been legislative efforts to end birthright citizenship, but it's part of the Constitution, so that wouldn't even suffice. You'd have to have an amendment process to end it. But Trump on day one has said not just that he's going to end what was understood as birthright citizenship, but as you noted in this piece, this is known as the sort of Kamala Harris clause, because her mother was here on a visa when Kamala was born, and that's if this was retroactive, she would not qualify for citizenship. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And I think that as we all sort of now become legal scholars and, birthright citizenship experts, I thought that I included this in the – no, it's crazy. I included this in the end of the newsletter.
Look, at least you have some basis for talking about it. I'm just shooting out of my ass here, but yes.
It's tough, and it's a big deal. Priscilla Alvarez at CNN had a good piece in December that basically was saying that the legal challenges are the point, and I sort of really find that framing interesting, where they're like, no, we know we're going to be challenged legally, and we still want to do this to see if we can push it through. So that's the part that's going to be crazy to watch.
Okay, let's go through some of the other ones. What are the ones that have immigration groups most on edge?
I mean, look, we expect that he was going to do national emergency at the border. So now this unlocks that military can go to the border. I will pause there and say one of the big concerns was, are we going to have U.S. military going into cities? And to be fair, advocates and activists who take Trump seriously but understand that there is leeway there, we're like, that probably won't happen. That actually probably is bad for the MAGA folks and for Republicans. Like, you probably don't want to go that far of bringing military into cities. Okay, so it ended up that the Secretary of Defense can send extra forces to the border to deal with what they feel is an attack on U.S. sovereignty. It's an invasion. I mean, we've seen invasion language used before. By the way, this was being used by Republicans in Texas, Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott, when there was the shooting and killing of Mexicans and Latinos in an El Paso Walmart. So the invasion language, that's what they're saying is happening in the border, and that's why they have to get control of it. So that was the first one. Things like ending catch and release.
Explain what catch and release is for the uninitiated.
A lot of conservatives and Republicans just say that we catch as the U.S. government.
We confront someone crossing the border.
We detain them and we give them a court date and we let them go, and then they disappear into the interior of the U.S. never to be seen again. Right. And so, look, we have a backlog of immigration cases. So certainly somebody might not have a court case later that year, things like that. So that's a big one that the MAGA folks always talk about. Designating
he ended that practice. He ended that practice via executive order yesterday.
Yes.
So what happens to those people who we catch crossing the border? Are they now instantaneously deported, or are they going to be detained? Right.
What they're trying to do is just immediate expulsions. I mean, Stephen Miller said to all illegal aliens, like the border's closed, like this is not happening anymore. So they are trying to send that message both rhetorically but also policy wise. Designating criminal cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and also gangs. So this is like MS-13. This is Trenes de Anagua, I believe, in a Venezuelan gang. And so by saying they're foreign terrorist organizations, they're using like the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which of course we all knew about before this week. And, so basically you're
Speak
saying
for yourself.
You're saying that you're being invaded by an enemy country. So you're able to not give these people due process. And so that's the legal folks and activists are scared about that one. What does that allow? That because the gang is from Venezuela, are you going to deny legal due process to a Venezuelan person who's here legally? Again, it's just the slippery slope that people are scared about because we've never been here before. We haven't seen stuff like this before. So I think that that's interesting. I mean, they're talking about ending asylum. So obviously in the first term, they really took, an axe to the trunk of asylum stuff and just this is legal pathways to be here. And they wanted to make that as difficult. We have heard about the broken immigration system for years, and This is also part of it. And so they wanted to make that as mangled and as difficult. So now, again, we're in his second term. We're going even further of just making it difficult for you to be here. And
so if you are fleeing a tyrannical government or gangs, or you have what we would consider a fairly standard or traditional claim to asylum, at this point in Trump's second term, those claims will not be adjudicated. You will just be turned back.
Yeah, and there was a humanitarian version of this also that they were canceling yesterday. I don't have all the countries in front of me, but some of the Central South American countries as well. We talked about...
To be clear, Biden tightened the asylum claims process fairly significantly towards the end of his time in office. We did see a dramatic, precipitous fall in the number of border crossings. It's probably causation, although there might be some correlation, or a bit of both. But like in this case, they're taking it to the fullest extreme, it seems like.
Yeah. They also shut down yesterday the CBP, the Customs Border Patrol One app, and that app that created a little bit. They always talk about wanting order at the border. That created some order in the sense of instead of you trying to sneak in, you were getting like a date for when you could come if you had these concerns, if you had these asylum issues that you wanted to present.
So rather than having a flood of people come in with no rhyme or reason or understanding of the flow of migration, the idea here was, okay, we try to make an app that was easily usable so that we could then surge resources like immigration judges and courts and detention beds or whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. Now we don't have that app.
Yeah, that went away. And actually, Arelis Hernandez, who's an incredible Washington Post reporter, she was there in Mexico at the border, and she had video of just like migrants crying because their appointments were being canceled. So, again, right, where we talk about the way that this affects so many people across the border in the U.S., et cetera. There was one that didn't get that much attention yesterday, which is interesting, I think, to note. So they talked about restoring the death penalty to bring capital state charges for crimes. And I mean, like, again, we're not in the business here of fear-mongering things. I can see an instance where there is one of these horrible, sort of infrequent, but it does happen where, Laken Riley was someone killed by someone undocumented, right? And that's where the Laken Riley Act came from.
Yeah.
I really could see this leading to that they do a high profile. We're putting someone undocumented, giving them the death penalty. Like, I think that this goes with the entire thing that Trump is trying to do and Miller are trying to do. So that one didn't get as much attention yesterday, but I sort of clocked it as like, okay.
What about refugees who have been brought here and given protective status, for instance? I mean, this was obviously the big splashy story during the campaign. The Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio, eating the cats, eating the dogs, yada yada yada. What about that protective status program? Is that just gone now?
Well, what they did say is they're suspending refugee resettlement for 4 months. So I think that that's interesting. It's not just ending it. A lot of these, they're just ending. Like, oh, that's over. That's game over. There was some extension of also, like, temporary protected status that Biden did before he left, which I think we're going to see them getting rid of some of those or not extending some of those deadlines. So again, it is, and I think we wrote about this, it's a full frontal assault on various parts of both legal and illegal immigration. And just this mentality of you are not welcome here and we want to make it uncomfortable and maybe you'll self-deport as well.
We were told to expect raids, it was hinted that we should get raids. Chicago, I know you quoted the mayor of Denver saying, yeah, we expect it to come. It's only been 24 hours, so give it some time. But what's the latest that we sense about that?
And just to catch people up, we talked about we've been hearing about possible showcase raids in blue cities where you're surging immigration agents and you're being a big powerful public push to show we're serious about this. Worksite raids, things like that. In 2018, there was a huge worksite raid in Tennessee, and the lasting images of those in the media were basically children crying who were in schools and all their parents were gone. It was pretty serious, and it got a lot of coverage. So I think the idea is to do that in blue cities. What happened with Chicago was it was leaked, and of course we don't know what led to that. But then Tom Homan, the new border czar, said, well, we didn't mean for it to leak. We might still do Chicago, but we're going to do it differently. The idea being that they felt that their agents could be in danger if people know where they're going to be. But cities from Philadelphia, Northern Virginia, Colorado are on high alert. Places that have been publicly said, like, we're sanctuary cities, you can expect the administration to want to show them that that's not okay.
Someone once wrote, the fear is the point. Smart guy, whoever did that. Adrian, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Unpacking all this stuff. We will be coming back to you undoubtedly because this is not the end of it at all. Just 24 hours in, as noted. Do subscribe to Huddled Masses. It's a fantastic newsletter. And also subscribe to our YouTube feed. It's a fantastic YouTube feed. We'll check in. And thanks a bunch. Talk to you later.